missing their dinner or appointments or whatever. We're supposed to start at 7:30. And we're up. Look at that. Okay. And grand slide, please.
Wait.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for persisting and staying this late at night. I'm grateful that we've got still some ears and faces to tell our story. And the story is one which I thought everyone would like to know, is that, you know, how do we get rid of all of the plastic pollution? How do we get to zero plastic pollution? It's a very obvious question to me, and I don't hear it really asked anywhere because it seems like everyone thinks it's impossible. But we are a consortium. That is going to be giving us very phase 20. Back at 2030, because it was something sample. I want to say very fast what we're doing. Never mind. Change of pace. I hope we can give you something a bit more exciting to jump into. A lot of ways the previous speakers have come up with a lot of the questions, a lot of the answers, a lot of the subjects that I was going to talk about, so I did actually shorten my presentation about quite a bit. The main point of the issue, the main cause, is that yes, recycling is the answer everybody has had on their lips and their minds forever. It's in everybody's presentation. It's in everybody's PowerPoint. Recycling, how do we do it? How do we get better at it, etc., etc. But really and truly, we think that there is probably something a little bit more reliable that we should start looking into as an alternative to get to zero plastic pollution.
nothing printed on it, no clasp, nothing that is different. It's got to be just one material, which is completely clean and easy to reprocess.
Maybe a second question, you said that there is completely no, let's say, beneficial recycling in respect to money-wise, but I think that the PET recycling.
PET recycling is a marvelous example. I'm so pleased you brought it up. The PET bottle is probably the most perfect of any of the waste streams that we've got. And what is the reason? The reason is because, firstly, it's clear. It's usually the similar type of material right across the board. There are variations. Yes, there are, of course. The contamination quite often, particularly if it's water bottles, is water. And water is extremely easy to go through the machine and it just evaporates with the heat. That means that you've got virtually no real problems that you have, for example, if you have yogurt pots, which is half full of yogurt. Now that is going to have to be washed, which means in literal terms, if everybody knows their physics, you convert the contamination from the plastic into the water. The plastic goes on, but then you've got contaminated water. How do you get it out of the water? Particularly if there's toxic materials in there, that means that water is a toxic waste. And it costs 168 euros a tonne in France to deal with that material. So it's not going away. You haven't done anything except transfer the contamination from one place to another. Okay, the plastic moves on, but that machine, that line is 2.5 million euro and it breaks down all the time. No, really, this is serious numbers here. You don't get a free pass just by saying, oh, we'll just wash it. Okay, you just wash it, but all that does is transfer the contamination. I mean, I tried a different model using activated lime and steam, and it worked. It meant that the contamination ended up as dry cake, and that only cost us 68 euros a tonne to take to the déchetterie. But at least it was not in water. But yes, PET is the best of them. PS is the worst of them. I'll go into that in a minute. What I was going to say was the PET sometimes has the HDPE lid top or cap on it. And the problem is that the other sort of contamination is another polymer. So when we were putting products to customers like this, they tolerate less than 1% contamination, different polymer. How many caps does that mean in a tonne to comprise a tonne of material which is in the bin? It's not many. And so helpfully, most people, when they take their water bottle, they take the top off and then they throw it away and they do something with the top otherwise. But our friends at Coca-Cola decided this isn't good enough. We can't have all of our tops in the environment, accusing us of doing something bad. So they did a helpful thing, so they thought, and they made the tops now captured by the ring, so it can't come off. So now we're going to get more HDPE tops in the line, which means that the PE is more contaminated. So it's worthless now as a waste stream. In the same way that an HDPE milk bottle, for example, if it's got a label on it. But one of the best waste streams is all the tops separately, because it's HDPE and it's nearly all quite similar. The color is not, but the material is. But it's a good question. Certainly, we think that the whole approach of making the customer bring the packaging back and making the retailer deal with it is the answer. That is where reduce can actually make a difference. And this is more than 100 million tonnes. And we think it's low-hanging fruit. I'm not sure anyone else agrees in the room. I think they think that they can deal with everything all at once, and we don't think so. We think you've got to break it up into chunks. Yeah, because posting agricultural waste, for example, you've got collection in a vast area and it's highly contaminated. Same with post-industrial or post-commercial. It's all different. You've got paper stickers and glue, and you've got different plates, and you've got different contaminants, and you don't get the volume in order to make a homogeneous waste stream. And that's the secret to recycling. Because every ton, your customer that's buying your material, every ton has to be identical, because he's going to have to change the settings on his press. And if the material is slightly different, the MFI, the melt flow index, is different from one ton to another, his press starts producing bad parts. He's on the phone. I want my money back. You can have your rubbish material. You've got no more than 2 points of MFI variation in order to keep your customer happy. If you drop 2 points, you're dead. And that's so easy to do, dropping 2 points, if you know what I mean. Melt flow index. That's the index of how viscous the material is. Because as you know, when you're making a part, when you're making a part like this, the material comes in, it gets heated up. The screw is pushing that heated up material as it gets liquid into the area where it's injected in the mold. Okay? The control panel talks about the pressure of that screw, the rate of flow, how quickly it turns, what the temperature is, and the time that it takes to close the mold, how long it stays closed, because it then has to cool. That's all of the indexes that he has to manipulate. Now, if something changes in that formula from this ton bag to that ton bag, then the part that makes comes out not perfect. It's in the bin, or it goes in the grinder and it has to go back again. And if that means that the number of parts he makes in a day goes down, that makes the boss unhappy because he has calculated how many parts he can make. It's 1.1 minutes to make one part, therefore multiply that by the minutes in the day, etc., etc. His costs go up and his margins won't take variation. It's all about that guy on that machine, and that's who we are working for as recyclers. And if the variations come in for no fault of our own, we did our best, and his job is harder, then we are dead as a supplier. And that's what happened to me. $4 million, euros, goodbye. So it's a difficult job. We think that reduce is the best way to do it and make supermarkets be the place where this takes place. And that the packaging is the job of the retailer, not the job of the producer. Everyone else happy? Any questions? No, we're done. Okay, thank you very much. Ask a question. Yes. Ask me later, yes. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around. I'm sorry to keep you so long. But anyway, we've all done very well. And I hope you have a great convention. Thank you.
Was la pregunta? I was thinking.
Okay, done. Because you know it was muted, so